Hi everybody, my name is Mo and I'm the creator of the webcomic Prism World. This video isn't necessarily about comic creation itself, but rather something that can indirectly, or even a lot of times directly, affect your creation process. And that is your mental health. So what I'm going to be chatting about can be applied to any type of creator, writers, artists, whatever you're doing. But I'm specifically catering this to my fellow webcomic and aspiring webcomic creators here, since that's what this channel is mostly about. So I really want this to be an honest, candid chat, and I want to be real with you. Making comics is a lot of work, and as a creator, the more heart and soul you put into your work, the more it becomes a double-edged sword. Meaning, the more effort and love you put into your comic, the more your readers will see your work shine. Take that as you may, but you can always tell when a creator truly cares about their work, and most Webtoon creators do. However, it also means things like negative feedback, slow or negative growth, etc. It's gonna hit you harder. And sorry, before I continue, I also want to state up front that everybody is different and will deal with negative circumstances in different ways. Some people are just born with thicker skin, and others are more sensitive, and some deal with very real mental health disorders. I personally deal with general and social anxiety. It's not something I normally like to talk about, but it's important to know where your fellow creators are coming from. So first, I'd like to chat with our aspiring creators, just for a moment here. I want you to be realistic. I'm not trying to bring you down or anything, but please keep in mind beforehand some basic facts. There are literally thousands of webtoons out there. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a large number. And not everyone is going to get boosted off the bat or grow an audience overnight. Not everybody gets that lucky. There are some exceptions, and most of the time it depends on luck or having a large established social media presence. I'll go into the social media thing in a little bit here. But for now, I hate to tell you this, I really do, but the size of your audience, your growth, is mostly out of your control. And it'll be better for your mental health in the future if you accept that now. It sounds depressing, but it's not, I promise. Okay, so I'm gonna start by chatting about the effects of social media and how to deal with them. Scrolling through Webtoon subreddits and Discord channels and such, I see so many creators asking how they can grow their audience because they're never promoted or never been promoted, or their sub count never grows unless they are being promoted. This applies to me too. It's usually negative otherwise. The answer that you'll usually get is to try your best to have a social media presence. Usually Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, there's so many out there, it can get really overwhelming. Another point is to develop good relationships with your fellow creators, like on Discord and such. That's all well and good. It can certainly help, and I've seen plenty of fellow creators grow just through their amazing networking skills without once being promoted on any website. And yeah, like I said, that's a real skill. But if you're not careful, social media can also make negative feelings worse. And I am speaking from experience here. It happens to a lot of us. As I'm a smaller creator, and the algorithm of these platforms can feel like an impenetrable wall, no matter how hard you try. It can get super discouraging, and even when your friends are growing and you're happy for them, there's a part of you that's just like, oh, why can't I have that too? Like, what am I doing wrong? I've researched everything I need to do in social media to grow. I'm following all the advice I get, doing all the trends, making videos. Nothing's working. It's so frustrating. So first of all, it's okay to feel that way. Just remember that. Like, every time I feel anything negative, I just feel like the worst person on earth. But it's okay, because those are normal feelings. It's not something you can always control. So, hard as it might be, stop comparing yourself to others. That's really the downfall of many creators. Once you start comparing your progress to that of others, it turns into this slippery slope of negativity, bad feelings, even jealousy. Oh, it's terrible. Fight the negativity with positivity. As cheesy as that sounds, support your fellow creators and try focusing on what you love so much about what you're creating. It can be super easy to focus on the numbers, so stop looking at them for a while. Focus on your content, make what makes you happy first. Also, this is not to drag anybody, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. Keep in mind that many successful creators with massive followings, big numbers and everything that you see on social media are 100% dedicated to growing this way. And as a comic creator, many of us just don't have that kind of time to spare. Yeah, promoting is necessary to a degree, but if that's all you're spending your time on, it is possible to become too focused on growing your numbers, and your comic is likely going to suffer as a result. That's just my opinion and doesn't apply to everybody. I just wanted you to remember that we don't always see what's going on behind the scenes, so don't put more time into your social media presence than you can afford, you know? Just be balanced. I only have a small network of friends. Like, I'll jump around and chime into Discord conversations sometimes, but it's really draining for me. As much as I want to do it, I just don't have that kind of extra time to spare with everything I'm juggling in real life. It's just too much going on. So another point I wanted to bring out is your fellow creators are all humans with very real lives. So even if you try to reach out and connect with the creator and they seemingly rebuff you, try to remember that you have no idea what's going on the other side of the screen. Now, what happens if you can't get past the frustration, the feeling that you're running in place no matter how hard you try? All the negative feelings that you have, this can lead to burnout. And it happens to the best of us. It happens to a lot of creators, and you don't even know it sometimes. It happened to me last summer, and I didn't even realize that it was happening until one of my friends pointed it out. Now, I can be like a total major workaholic sometimes, and if you've listened to me blather on in my other videos, I'm so sorry. I love working on my comic. It's so fun. It's basically all I do outside of my regular job and my volunteer work. It's a big part of my life, and I love it. However, I am embarrassed to admit that I reached a point where I let my numbers get to me. I was working super hard, excited about a story arc, and it just felt like it was flopping on Webtoon, and it kind of broke me. My comic suddenly became a chore, and everything on social media was making me upset, and I hated feeling that way. I just felt like the worst person ever, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So I took some advice, and I took a hiatus from my comic. It wasn't super long, only like a month and a half, and I even took off time from social media altogether, and it did help. I was able to regain my mental balance, and I took some time, reread my story, which got me excited again about what I was doing. So I pushed through, and even now when growth is slow, or I lose subs, or I get a bad rating, because it happens, I don't feel the same level of frustration as I used to when I was a new creator. So you'll grow that backbone over time. It's harder when you're first starting out, but eventually you will learn the ebbs and flows of Webtoon and other webcomic sites. It happens to everybody. Now I also take social media as it is, and I don't force myself to create content or force connections when I'm not in the mood. And I highly suggest taking that route if you can. Anyway, it's okay to take a break. In fact, it's necessary. I highly suggest even scheduling breaks or hiatuses regularly, just to make sure you're staying balanced and you don't end up reaching that breaking point. And to be fair, most of us aren't even getting paid for these comics. Like, I'm not. I get a little bit from Patreon, but I don't get money from my comic at all. So it's not worth killing yourself over, and your audience is going to understand. Okay, maybe not everyone will understand, and that's another thing I want to talk about real quick. Negative comments and feedback from others will probably happen to you at some point, and it's all part of being a creator. Remember this, you're not going to please everybody, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your episodes are 20 panels, that's way too short. Your episodes are 60 panels, too long, didn't read. So don't let it get to you, seriously. I'd pay to see some of these people do what we're doing. It's a lot of work. And if people are being trolls for the sake of being a troll, you always have the option to delete those comments and move on with your life, because no one wants time for that kind of negativity, you know? I don't. Okay, so I think that's everything I wanted to cover. I was trying to keep this short and concise because this topic of mental health, we could really discuss it for hours. So feel free to share your own tips or experiences in the comments. This is a safe space, and if you're feeling this kind of negativity and need to vent, go ahead and do it. We're all in the same boat, and it's good to let off some of the stress sometimes. We're all here supporting each other. And if you have any questions, also feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer them. But remember these points. Your mental health is important, so do your best to protect it. Remember that your growth is not always in your control, so don't let it control you or your feelings. And finally, take breaks and maintain your joy in your comic creation process. Because like I've said in my other videos a million times, This is supposed to be fun. Have fun with it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to check out my own webcomic, it's Prism World. It's available to read on Webtoon and Tapas, and the links are in the description below. And I will see you all next time.